Hey up. So, wrapping up this mini Fulci collection, we have Enigma, a 1987 Italian horror film written and directed by Lucio Fulci. That's right, he actually worked on this one. The film stars Laura Lamberti, who you may recognise from making an appearance in A Blade in the Dark, which we covered in my Vipco review series. We also get an uncredited cameo from Fulci himself and Sabrina Ciani, which isn't a great sign, because she was in both Cannibals and Cannibal Terror, which we covered not too long ago in the collection. So this is apparently loosely based on Carrie, and is considered a transitional film for Fulci, moving back to his gorier roots. So far in this mini Fulci collection we've had a pretty decent later Fulci film, and an absolutely terrible film that actually had nothing to do with Fulci, potentially. So let's see what this one's like, shall we?
Oh good. I wanted to call you Fred. Only I...
Mary, your bucket!
I may have a fat ass, but if you slap it again, I'll slap your face.
We begin the film following Kathy, a girl who attends an all-girls boarding school, and she's been bullied to the point where she gets run over and put in a coma. A little while later, a new girl joins the boarding school called Eva, but, and the film isn't shy about telling you this straight away, Eva is being possessed by Kathy, and she's there to take revenge on all the people who wronged her, and to bang as many dudes as she possibly can. I thought this film was middle of the road. You know, there's moments of creativity here and there, but it's so blunt and in your face with the plot that there's no room for suspense or mystery. The pacing's a little in and out as well. As I say, I've seen a lot worse, but Fulci has made a hell of a lot better.
Okay, Jenny. Let's get one thing straight. For me, a successful year means making out with as many gorgeous boys as possible.
The acting and dubbing are okay. It's not the worst. There's the odd funny line here and there that got a chuckle out of me, but it's just fine. There's some really fun kills in this. The mirror scene and the snails in particular really stand out to me. But to say that this is Fulci's back to gore movie, it's kind of lacking in that department, really. We do get some gore and it's fine, but it's minimal, really, and it all seems to be in the last 25 minutes of the film. It really saves it for sort of like the end bits. Yeah, I expected a little bit more, to be honest. Of course, we get the sleazy moments and nudity as well, but I mean, this is set in an all-girls boarding school, so what did you expect? Something I really want to talk about is the intro to this film. It's really, really weird. It starts with like a really campy 80s song about putting on your makeup and getting ready. All the while we're seeing a montage of Kathy getting dressed up. It's fun, I'm not going to lie, and it definitely got a chuckle out of me. And the song even comes back for the end credits. It's probably one of the most entertaining bits of the film, really. It's just a really weird inclusion that I wasn't expecting. The rest of the music's not too bad either, to be honest. It's sort of what you'd expect, but it's decent, not bad. Same can be said for sort of like the sets and the lighting and the way it's shot. There's some decent cinematography here and there in this as well. It's not an awfully made thing. It's just the way the plot plays out, I think, that sort of makes this not the best thing I've ever seen. As I mentioned earlier, this film took influence from Carrie, but there were other films that I sort of could see in this, mainly Argento films. I was getting sort of Suspiria and Phenomena vibes, and I don't know if it's just because they're the all-girls boarding school setting, or the way it was shot, the music use, or just the subject matter in general, but I don't know, I saw some parallels between those films. I've also seen it compared to a film called Patrick. Now, I haven't seen Patrick, but it is in the collection. It's right here, just behind this nook. So we will be getting to this at some point in the near future, and we can see if there is any similarities between these two films. So this is a case where the Italian version, and there was an English version that was sort of shot concurrently with this, where they'd get people to speak Italian and they'd get to speak English. But the weird thing is that the English stuff was then redubbed over by English voice actors anyway. The version that I watched for this review was the English dub, as they usually are in this collection. And yeah, you can see that the mouths are moving and you can tell they're talking English, but it just doesn't quite sync up right with the voice acting. Also, the English version is slightly cut compared to the Italian version. The English version actually only runs at 85 minutes, whereas the Italian version you get 90 minutes. And that is just because they were swapping some scenes out and changing a few things around. It's not for censorship, it's just the way that the film was edited as they were doing these two different versions for some reason. And one last thing before we go, this poster of Yoda saying read and holding a book kept popping up in the background, and every time I saw it, it made me chuckle.
Eva! Bitch! Eva!
Okay, time for the print, and it's probably one of the worst ones we've seen in a little while, to be honest. It's not completely unwatchable, but it's definitely of a lower quality, and there's a lot more imperfections on the print. A lot more scratches, and it's a bit more washed out as well. The audio's fine, but again, it's a little muffled, and there is a hiss every now and then in the background which can be quite distracting. It's far from unwatchable, but it's not great, and we've seen a hell of a lot better from Hard Gore recently. And on the disc we get the standard stuff again. We get chapter select, stills, filmographies, a trailer for this film, and a Hard Gore trailer reel. And that's your lot. Standard Hard Gore fare, really. Nothing to shout about. Okay, time for the case. The description reads fine and all the information seems correct, really. Again, outside of the runtime, which is once again off, this time by 4.5 minutes. I'm guessing for these they just sort of reused the generic 90-minute runtime for the whole Fulci collection. That's what it seems like anyway. I like the cover, showing one of the best parts of the film, and the screenshots on the back are decent. There's a bit of nudity though for me to censor, which I think is the first time I've had to do this in this collection. I was doing it a lot with the Shameless films, but not really seen it crop up with this, but here we go. First instance of it. Overall then, it definitely suffers in the pacing department, and unfortunately it's not afraid to divulge maybe a little too much of the plot a little early on, but it has some fun kills and moments of creativity. I would recommend this film to a Fulci fan who's seen all the better Fulci films and needs something to sort of scratch that Italian horror itch. You might get something from it if that's the case. Now, with regards to this release, if you find it cheap in a charity shop, if this were 50p or a quid in CEX or a charity shop, it's worth it. But outside of that, I wouldn't pay too much for it, because the print isn't amazing, there's no extras or anything like that, but it is watchable. Now, there are other options. In the UK, there's the 88 Films Blu-ray, and if you're into importing and such, there is a Severin Blu-ray, which does look pretty nice. But again, these are pricier options for a film that's just sorta okay. So, it's up to you on that one. Maybe the nicer print helps and makes it look a little bit better. Who knows? So, yeah, sort of middle of the road way to end off this little Fulci mini marathon. But I think we've seen too many Italian films recently. I think it's time to get back to the roots of hard gore, the things that we started with. Maybe something a little more angsty, a little bit more moody, a little bit more millennial trash. Next episode, we are going to be taking a look at Rain in Darkness.